There's a park in Kyoto where something remarkable happens every morning at sunrise. If you arrive early enough, you'll see them. Dozens of elderly men and women, some in their 70s, 80s, even 90s, moving through the pathways with a grace and vitality that seems to defy their years. They're not jogging, they're not power walking. They're practicing something the Japanese call Shinrin Yoku, combined with Senpo, a walking meditation that has become one of Japan's most powerful secrets for longevity. Robert didn't know about this when he turned 67. What he knew was that his knees ached every morning, his balance had become uncertain, and the simple act of walking to his mailbox left him winded and discouraged. His doctor had told him to exercise, but every attempt felt like a battle, his body protesting, his joints grinding, his energy depleting rather than building. "I felt like my body was betraying me," Robert would later say. "Every step reminded me that I was getting old, that my best years were behind me." But Robert's daughter had married a Japanese man, and during a visit to Tokyo to meet his new grandson, Robert noticed something that would change his life. His father-in-law, Hiroshi, was 82 years old. Every morning, without fail, he would leave the house at dawn and return 30 minutes later, his face peaceful, his movements fluid and strong. Robert watched this ritual for several days before asking what Hiroshi was doing. "I am walking," Hiroshi said simply, "but not the way you walk in America. We walk differently in Japan. We walk with purpose, but without hurry. We walk with attention, but without tension. Come tomorrow, I will show you." The next morning, Robert joined Hiroshi. What happened in those 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes of what would become Robert's daily practice, seemed almost too simple to be transformative. They walked slowly, deliberately, through a nearby park. Hiroshi taught him to land on his heel, roll through his foot, push off with his toes, to keep his spine long, his shoulders relaxed, his breathing deep and rhythmic, to notice the trees, the birds, the quality of the morning light, to walk as if he had nowhere to be and all the time in the world to get there. "In Japan," Hiroshi explained as they walked, "we have a saying, the gods are in the details. How you walk is how you live. If you walk with stress, you live with stress. If you walk with attention and ease, you live with attention and ease." That was 18 months ago. Today, Robert walks every morning for exactly 10 minutes, following the technique Hiroshi taught him. His knees no longer ache, his balance has returned, his energy has transformed from the depleted feeling he'd grown accustomed to into something sustainable and real. But more than the physical changes, something else has shifted. A sense of connection to his body, to the natural world, to the simple act of being alive and moving through space. This is what happens when you walk the Japanese way. It's not about distance covered or calories burned. It's not about getting somewhere or achieving a fitness goal. It's about the quality of attention you bring to movement, the integration of body and mind, the cultivation of what the Japanese call ikigai, a reason for being that infuses even the smallest daily actions with meaning and purpose.
To understand why the Japanese walking technique works so profoundly for people over 60, we first need to understand why so much of what we're told about exercise in the West actually fails us as we age. The Western approach to fitness is built on a paradigm that works beautifully for younger bodies: intensity, progression, pushing limits, no pain, no gain. Go harder, go faster, lift heavier, run longer. This makes sense when you're 25 or 35 or even 45, when your body has robust recovery mechanisms, when inflammation resolves quickly, when joints can absorb impact without accumulating damage. But something fundamental changes after 60. Your body doesn't stop being capable of movement. In fact, it desperately needs movement to maintain health. But the type of movement that serves you shifts dramatically. The high-impact, high-intensity approaches that might have worked in your younger years now often do more harm than good. Think about what happens physiologically after 60. Your cartilage has thinned from decades of use. The synovial fluid that lubricates your joints becomes less abundant and less effective. Your bones, particularly if you're a woman past menopause, have begun losing density. Your muscles, without intervention, lose mass at a rate of about 3 to 5% per decade after 30, accelerating after 60. Your balance systems, the integration of vision, inner ear, and proprioception, start to degrade. Now imagine taking this aging body and telling it to run on concrete, to do high-intensity interval training, to lift heavy weights with improper form because you're trying to keep up with a class. What happens? Inflammation accumulates faster than it can resolve. Joints experience micro-trauma that doesn't fully heal before the next workout. The stress response triggered by intense exercise stays elevated longer, keeping cortisol high and interfering with sleep. Injuries happen more easily and heal more slowly. Margaret experienced this firsthand. At 64, determined not to give in to age, she joined a high-intensity fitness class at her local gym. The instructor was encouraging, the other participants supportive, but within 3 weeks, Margaret had developed severe knee pain that would take 6 months to resolve. "I thought I was doing the right thing," she said. "I thought I needed to push myself, to work harder. Instead, I hurt myself in a way that made me more sedentary, not less." This is the paradox of Western exercise culture for seniors. In trying to fight aging aggressively, we often accelerate it. We create inflammation, damage joints, trigger stress responses, and ultimately convince ourselves that our bodies are broken and incapable, when really, we've just been using the wrong approach. The Japanese understanding is fundamentally different. In Japan, exercise after 60 isn't about fighting age, it's about moving with your age, understanding what your body needs now, not what it needed 30 years ago. It's about sustainability over intensity, consistency over heroics, harmony over conquest. Consider the concept of hara hachibu, eating until you're 80% full. It's one of the secrets of Okinawan longevity. The same principle applies to movement. Move to about 80% of your capacity, leaving room for recovery, for ease, for enjoyment. Never push to the point of pain or exhaustion. Always leave something in reserve. When researchers study the longest-lived populations in the world, the blue zones, including Okinawa in Japan, they find something surprising. These people aren't doing intense workouts. They're not training for marathons or lifting heavy weights. Instead, they're engaging in consistent, moderate, natural movement throughout their day, walking to the market, tending gardens, moving with purpose but without hurry. The Okinawans have a phrase, "nan-kura naisa." It means, everything will be all right, or things will work out. There's a deep trust in the process, a lack of forcing or straining. This attitude extends to how they move their bodies. Movement isn't warfare against aging, it's a daily practice of care. The science validates this approach powerfully. Studies on exercise and aging consistently show that moderate, consistent movement provides nearly all the benefits of intense exercise: improved cardiovascular health, maintained muscle mass, better balance, enhanced cognitive function, reduced inflammation, without the risks. In fact, some research suggests that for people over 65, moderate exercise may actually provide superior longevity benefits compared to intense exercise, which can trigger excessive inflammation and stress responses in aging bodies. But here's what makes the Japanese walking technique particularly remarkable. It's not just moderate movement, it's mindful movement, and that distinction changes everything. When you walk with the attention and intention that Japanese techniques cultivate, you're engaging not just your muscles and cardiovascular system, but your entire nervous system. You're practicing balance with every step. You're training proprioception, your body's awareness of itself in space, which naturally degrades with age, but can be maintained and even improved with mindful practice. You're synchronizing breath and movement, which activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress and inflammation. You're also doing something that almost no Western exercise does. You're making movement pleasant, not punishing, not exhausting, not something to endure, but to enjoy. And this might be the most important factor of all. because sustainable exercise isn't about what you can force yourself to do for 3 weeks or 3 months. It's about what you can integrate into your life so naturally, so pleasurably, that you'll still be doing it at 90.
The Japanese walking technique that Robert learned from Hiroshi isn't complicated, but it is precise. Every element serves a purpose, contributing to a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. Let me walk you through it, step by step, the way Hiroshi taught Robert on that first morning in Tokyo. The foundation, posture and alignment. Before you take a single step, you must establish your foundation. Stand tall, but without rigidity. Imagine a string attached to the crown of your head, gently pulling you upward toward the sky. Your spine lengthens naturally, your shoulders release down and back, opening your chest without forcing. Your chin draws slightly back, aligning your head over your spine rather than jutting forward. This posture is called shisei in Japanese, proper form. Hiroshi explained it this way. In Japan, we say your spine should be like bamboo, strong and flexible, rooted but reaching upward, not like old wood, bent and rigid. Place your hands naturally at your sides or clasp them gently behind your back. Let your arms swing naturally if they're at your sides, but keep the movement small and controlled. The exaggerated arm pumping you see in power walking actually creates tension and throws off your alignment. The breath, synchronized and deep. Now, before you begin walking, establish your breath. This is crucial and often overlooked in Western walking. Breathe in deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Feel your belly expand, not just your chest. This is diaphragmatic breathing, the breath of calm and presence. Hold for a moment at the top, then exhale slowly through your nose for a count of 6, letting your belly draw inward. Do this 3 times before you begin walking. You're establishing a rhythm, a baseline of calm that will carry through your entire walk. In Japanese practice, this is kokyu, conscious breath. Hiroshi told Robert, breath is the bridge between body and mind. When breath is calm and deep, mind is clear and body is relaxed. The step, heel to toe, mindful and measured. Now you begin to walk, but not in the way you've walked your entire life. This is deliberate, conscious stepping. Step forward with your right foot. Land first on your heel, but gently, not with a hard strike that sends shock waves up through your knee and hip. Your heel kisses the ground. Then consciously roll through the entire foot, heel to arch, arch to ball, ball to toes. Feel every part of your foot making contact with the earth. Push off gently with your toes, engaging the muscles of your calf and foot. This complete foot engagement does something remarkable. It activates proprioceptive sensors throughout your foot and lower leg, sending rich information to your brain about balance and position. This constant, detailed feedback strengthens the neural pathways that govern balance, pathways that degrade with age if we walk carelessly, barely aware of our feet. The stride length is important. In Western power walking, we're taught to take long strides to cover more distance. In Japanese mindful walking, your stride is natural and modest, about the length from your heel to your toes when you're standing. Shorter strides mean better balance, less impact on joints, more control. Your pace is slower than you're probably used to. This isn't a race. Hiroshi explained it perfectly. Walk as if you were carrying precious water in a bowl balanced on your head. Move smoothly, no jerking, no rushing. This is the pace of attention. The gaze, soft and aware. Where you look matters more than you might think. Don't stare at your feet. This compromises your balance and posture. Don't look far ahead, planning where you'll be. Instead, let your gaze rest gently about 3 to 4 meters ahead on the path. Your peripheral vision stays active, taking in the trees, the sky, the environment around you. This soft, aware gaze, called metsuke in martial arts, keeps your head properly aligned and maintains your connection to your environment. You're not lost in thought, you're present, here, now, moving through this particular morning, this particular path. The mind, present and peaceful. This is perhaps the most important element, the one that transforms walking from mere physical exercise into something that nourishes body, mind, and spirit simultaneously. As you walk, your attention stays with the physical sensations of walking. Feel your feet meeting the ground. Notice the subtle engagement of muscles in your legs, your core, your shoulders. Sense the movement of air across your skin. Hear the sounds around you. Birds, wind and leaves, your own breath. Notice the quality of light, the temperature, the subtle scents carried on the air. When your mind wanders, and it will, constantly at first, don't judge it or fight it. Simply notice that you've drifted into thought and gently bring your attention back to the physical sensations of walking, the feet, the breath, the body moving through space. This is Nen, mindful awareness. Hiroshi told Robert something beautiful about this. In Zen, we say, when walking, just walk. Not walking and thinking about breakfast, not walking and worrying about tomorrow, just walking. This simple attention is healing. The duration, exactly 10 minutes. Why 10 minutes? Why not 30 or 60? The Japanese walking practice is based on a profound understanding. It's better to walk 10 minutes every single day with complete attention and presence than to walk an hour 3 times a week with scattered mind and poor form. 10 minutes is achievable. It's not intimidating. It doesn't require special clothing or preparation or recovery. It fits naturally into the rhythm of a day, before breakfast, during a work break, in the evening before dinner. Because it's short, you can maintain quality attention for the entire duration. Your mind is less likely to drift, your form less likely to deteriorate. But don't underestimate these 10 minutes. When practiced correctly, with proper posture, conscious breathing, deliberate stepping, in present awareness, 10 minutes of Japanese mindful walking provides profound benefits that accumulate over time. The environment, nature when possible. While you can practice this technique anywhere, even walking down a hallway, the Japanese ideal is to walk in nature when possible. A park, a tree-lined street, a path through woods, even a garden. This adds the element of Shinrin-yuku, forest bathing, which has been extensively studied in Japan. The presence of trees and natural elements triggers measurable physiological changes, reduced cortisol, lower blood pressure, enhanced immune function through exposure to phytocides, natural compounds emitted by trees, and improved mood through negative ions in natural air. Nature isn't just a pleasant backdrop, it's an active participant in your healing. Robert now walks in a small park near his home. He says, I see things I never noticed before, the way light changes through seasons, the return of migrating birds, the gradual unfurling of leaves in spring. These 10 minutes have become the most alive part of my day.
What happens in your body during these 10 minutes of mindful Japanese walking is nothing short of remarkable. Modern science is now validating what Japanese culture has known for centuries. This particular combination of moderate movement, conscious breathing, and present attention triggers a cascade of biological benefits that directly impact longevity and quality of life after 60. Let's start with the most immediate and perhaps most important benefit for aging adults: balance and fall prevention. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in people over 65. Every year, 1 in 4 Americans aged 65 and older falls, and falling once doubles your chances of falling again. The consequences can be devastating: hip fractures, traumatic brain injury, loss of independence, and a cascade of complications that can end life or dramatically reduce its quality. But here's what's crucial to understand. Balance isn't something that simply degrades with age and can't be helped. Balance is a complex integration of 3 systems: your visual system, your vestibular system, inner ear, and your proprioceptive system, body awareness. And all 3 can be trained and maintained through the right kind of movement. The Japanese walking technique is perfectly designed for this. Every mindful step, every conscious foot placement,
Every moment of attention to how your body moves through space is training your proprioceptive system. You're strengthening the neural pathways that tell your brain where your body is and how to adjust for stability. Research from the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Gerontology studied elderly practitioners of mindful walking versus those who did conventional exercise. After 6 months, the mindful walking group showed a 47% reduction in fall risk, significantly better than the conventional exercise group. The researchers concluded that the combination of slow, deliberate movement and conscious attention created superior balance training. But the benefits go far beyond balance. Let's talk about what's happening at the cellular level. When you walk with the gentle, moderate intensity of the Japanese technique, you're activating what scientists call hormesis, a beneficial stress response that strengthens cells without overwhelming them. You're increasing circulation without spiking blood pressure. You're stimulating mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, to become more efficient without flooding your system with free radicals from overexertion. Think of it like this. Intense exercise is like shouting at your cells. Mindful walking is like having a sustained, encouraging conversation. One creates alarm and defense, the other creates adaptation and growth. This moderate, sustained movement has profound effects on inflammation, arguably the primary driver of aging and age-related disease. Chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, underlies everything from cardiovascular disease to dementia to arthritis. High-intensity exercise, especially in aging bodies, can actually increase inflammatory markers if recovery is insufficient. But moderate, consistent walking, especially when combined with the stress-reducing effects of mindfulness, demonstrably reduces inflammatory markers. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that adults over 65 who walked regularly at a moderate pace had significantly lower levels of C-reactive protein, a key inflammation marker, compared to both sedentary individuals and those who exercised intensely. The sweet spot for anti-inflammatory benefits was 20 to 40 minutes of moderate walking 5 to 6 days per week. 10 minutes daily begins building this benefit. Then there's the impact on your brain. This might be the most exciting frontier in aging research, the discovery that movement, particularly moderate aerobic movement combined with attention and engagement, profoundly affects brain health and cognitive function. When you walk mindfully, you're not just moving your legs, you're bathing your brain in BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that acts like fertilizer for brain cells, promoting the growth of new neurons and the formation of new neural connections. You're increasing circulation to the brain, delivering more oxygen and nutrients. You're stimulating the hippocampus, the region crucial for memory formation and spatial navigation. Japanese researchers studying elderly practitioners of mindful walking found something remarkable. After 1 year of daily practice, participants showed measurable increases in hippocampal volume. Their brains actually grew in regions typically shrinking with age. Control groups doing other forms of exercise showed maintenance but not growth. The secret seems to be the combination of movement and attention. When you walk mindfully, constantly aware of sensations and environment, you're giving your brain complex, varied stimulation. Each walk is slightly different. Different lighting, different sounds, different terrain requiring constant micro-adjustments. This variability and engagement seems to provide superior brain training compared to repetitive treadmill walking. Dr. Hideaki Soya at the University of Tsukuba in Japan has spent decades studying exercise and cognitive aging. His research shows that moderate intensity exercise combined with cognitive engagement, exactly what happens in mindful walking, provides the strongest protection against cognitive decline and dementia. The brain doesn't need to be pushed hard, Dr. Soya explains. It needs to be engaged consistently. 10 minutes daily of engaged, mindful movement may be more protective than an hour of mindless exercise 3 times per week. And we can't ignore the cardiovascular benefits. Your heart, after 60, needs movement to stay healthy, but it doesn't need to be pushed to its maximum capacity. The Japanese walking technique, practiced daily, provides exactly the right stimulus: moderate elevation of heart rate, improved circulation, enhanced vascular flexibility, without the stress that can trigger arrhythmias or other cardiac events in vulnerable individuals. Studies on the longest-lived populations consistently show that daily moderate walking is one of the strongest predictors of longevity. The famous Adventist health study, following thousands of elderly Seventh-day Adventists, found that those who walked regularly outlived sedentary peers by an average of 7 years, and more importantly, those extra years were healthier, more independent years. Perhaps most profoundly, the Japanese walking practice addresses something that Western medicine often overlooks: the mind-body connection in aging. The chronic stress that many older adults experience, worry about health, financial concerns, fear of cognitive decline, grief over lost capacities or lost loved ones, creates a constant activation of the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight response. This chronic stress accelerates aging at the cellular level, literally shortening telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes that are markers of biological aging. It raises cortisol, disrupts sleep, impairs immune function, and increases inflammation. The mindful attention practiced during Japanese walking activates the opposite system, the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response. The combination of steady breathing, rhythmic movement, and present moment awareness signals to your body that you are safe, that this moment is okay. Practiced daily, this becomes a powerful counterforce to chronic stress. Robert describes it this way: "For years, I walked around carrying this tension, this low-level anxiety about getting older, about my health failing. The walking practice didn't make my worries disappear, but it gave me 10 minutes every day when I'm not worried, when I'm just here, just walking, just alive. And somehow those 10 minutes change the other 23 hours and 50 minutes too."
Knowing the technique is one thing. Integrating it into your life so completely that it becomes as natural as breathing, that's where transformation happens. Let me share how real people have made this practice their own, and how you can too. Sarah is 71, lives in Seattle, and had never been particularly athletic. "I was always the bookworm," she laughs. "The idea of exercise made me anxious." But when her daughter shared an article about Japanese walking techniques, something resonated. It didn't sound like exercise, it sounded like meditation in motion. That I could do. Sarah started in the most accessible way possible, walking the length of her hallway. 10 steps down, turn, 10 steps back. She focused entirely on the technique, the posture, the breath, the mindful placement of each foot. "I felt a little silly at first," she admits, "but within 3 days I noticed something. My shoulders weren't hunched up to my ears anymore, just from paying attention to my posture for 10 minutes a day." After a week of hallway walking, she graduated to her front sidewalk, then around the block. Now, 18 months later, she walks every morning through a nearby park. "I've seen every season change, watched trees bloom and drop their leaves. I know where the robins nest, when the wildflowers appear. I feel connected to my neighborhood in a way I never did before." The key to Sarah's success was starting where she was, not where she thought she should be. No judgment, no comparison to what she could do at 30 or 40. Just 10 minutes, focused and present, at whatever capacity her 71-year-old body offered that day. This is crucial for integration. Meet yourself where you are. Some days, after 60, you wake up with energy and ease. Other days, joints are stiff, energy is low. The beauty of the Japanese walking practice is that it adapts. On difficult days, your 10-minute walk might be slower, shorter steps, more time on breathing and less on distance. On good days, you might walk a bit farther, enjoy the movement more fully. Hiroshi taught Robert this flexibility. The river doesn't flow the same way every day. Some days fast, some days slow, but it always flows. Your practice should be like this, consistent but responsive. Thomas, 68, had a different challenge. He'd been a runner for 40 years, competed in marathons, identified deeply with being a runner. When his knees finally forced him to stop at 66, he felt he'd lost part of his identity. "I tried to keep running through the pain," he says. "I'd rather have had knee surgery than admit I needed to slow down." His physical therapist introduced him to mindful walking, though Thomas was skeptical. "I thought, what's the point of walking if you're not getting your heart rate up, not pushing yourself?" But the therapist challenged him. "Try it for 2 weeks, see how you feel." Thomas approached the walking practice the way he'd approached running, with discipline and commitment, but he had to unlearn everything running had taught him about pushing through, going faster, beating yesterday's time. The hardest part was accepting that slow could be valuable, that attention mattered more than achievement. What surprised Thomas was how quickly his body responded. "Within a month, my knees hurt less than they had in years. My physical therapist said my gait had completely changed. I was landing more softly, distributing weight more evenly, all from paying attention to how I was walking." But the deeper shift was psychological. I realized I'd been running away from something for 40 years, from stillness, from presence, from just being with myself. Walking slowly, mindfully, with nowhere to get to, that was harder than any marathon, but it's also been more healing. The practice of mindful walking has given Thomas something he never found in competitive running: sustainable joy in movement. "I can do this when I'm 80, when I'm 90. I'm not destroying my body to feel alive. I'm honoring it." For both Sarah and Thomas, certain elements made integration successful. Consistency of timing. They walk at the same time each day, Sarah in the early morning, Thomas before dinner. This consistency creates ritual, makes the practice automatic rather than something requiring willpower. Sacred space. Sarah has claimed a specific park bench as her starting point. Thomas has a particular path through his neighborhood. Having a sacred space for the practice, even if it's just your front sidewalk, creates psychological anchoring. Environmental awareness. Both have become deeply attuned to their walking environments, the trees, the birds, the seasonal changes. This awareness transforms walking from exercise into engagement with life. Weather flexibility. They walk in rain, with appropriate clothing, in cold, with layers, in heat, in early morning. The only exception is ice or dangerous conditions. Weather becomes part of the experience, not an obstacle. Technology boundaries. Neither uses headphones or podcasts during their 10 minutes. This is non-negotiable sacred time for presence. Thomas, who'd always run with music, found the silence difficult at first. "Now I can't imagine covering up the sounds of morning, birds, wind, my own footsteps. Those sounds are the point." Journal practice. Sarah keeps a simple notebook where, after her walk, she jots down 1 or 2 observations: a bird she saw, how her body felt, what she noticed. This brief reflection deepens the practice, creates a record of presence. There's also the question of walking with others versus walking alone. Traditional Japanese practice emphasizes walking alone as meditation, but Western adaptation has found value in both. Robert sometimes walks with his wife, both practicing the technique together in companionable silence. We're together, but not talking, both present to the walk. Afterward, over breakfast, we share what we noticed. It's become a form of intimacy, being fully ourselves side by side. 3 times a week, Sarah walks with her 6-year-old granddaughter. I've taught her the technique, how to breathe, how to notice, how to walk with attention. She loves it. She finds things I miss: tiny flowers, interesting rocks, a spider web sparkling with dew. Walking with her, I see the world through fresh eyes. This intergenerational sharing may be one of the most beautiful aspects of the practice. You're not just improving your own health and longevity, you're passing down a practice, a way of being that your grandchildren can carry with them for life. The practice also naturally extends beyond those 10 minutes. Both Sarah and Thomas notice they're more aware of how they move throughout the day. I catch myself slouching at my desk and remember the bamboo spine, Sarah says. I notice when I'm walking carelessly, not paying attention to my feet. This is the true integration, when the mindfulness cultivated in 10 minutes daily begins to infuse all your movement, all your living. There's a concept in Japanese culture that doesn't translate easily into English, but that lies at the heart of why the Japanese live longer, healthier lives than almost any other population on Earth. The word is ikigai, your reason for being, the thing that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. In the Western world, we often think of purpose in grand terms: career achievements, major life goals, significant accomplishments. But the Japanese understanding of ikigai is quieter, more daily, more accessible. It can be found in small rituals, simple practices, the care you bring to ordinary moments. For many elderly Japanese practitioners of mindful walking, the walk itself becomes an expression of ikigai. Not because walking will make them live to 100, though it might. Not because it will prevent disease, though it does. But because the walk, practiced with attention and care, is intrinsically meaningful. It connects them to their body, to nature, to the present moment, to the simple fact of being alive. Robert discovered this unexpectedly. When he first started walking, it was purely instrumental. He wanted his knees to stop hurting, his balance to improve, his energy to return. "I was walking to fix problems," he says, "but somewhere along the way it shifted. Now I walk because the walking itself matters. Those 10 minutes aren't a means to an end. They are the point." This shift from instrumental to intrinsic purpose might seem subtle, but it's profound. When you're walking only to achieve a health outcome, you're still trapped in the achievement mindset, the future orientation that creates subtle stress, even in the act that's supposed to relieve it. You're evaluating, measuring, judging whether it's working. But when walking becomes an expression of ikigai, when it's valuable in itself, something releases. You're not walking towards some future state of health. You're walking because this is what you do, who you are, how you honor your life right now. In Okinawa, researchers studying centenarians found that almost all of them had clearly articulated ikigai. But their ikigai wasn't grand, it was caring for a garden, teaching grandchildren traditional songs, making pottery, tending to community relationships. Simple practices done with care and consistency that gave each day meaning and structure. Many found their ikigai in movement practices, tai chi, walking, gentle calisthenics performed daily, not as exercise, but as ritual, as meditation, as connection to tradition and body and life itself. The walking practice can become this for you. Not another item on your to-do list, not another health intervention to force yourself through, but a daily ritual of presence and care that gives structure and meaning to your days. Elena, 73, describes it beautifully. "I used to wake up and think, what do I have to do today? Now I wake up and think, I get to walk today. It's a completely different relationship to my morning, to my life." This shift in perspective, from have to get to, might seem like mere semantics, but it reflects a fundamental reorientation. Have to implies burden, obligation, something external being imposed. Get to implies privilege, gift, choice freely made. When your 10-minute walk becomes something you get to do rather than have to do, you've discovered ikigai in the practice. There's another layer to this that connects specifically to aging. In Western culture, we often internalize a narrative of decline after 60, a slow diminishment of capacity, vitality, relevance. This narrative is so pervasive that we barely question it. Getting old equals getting worse. But the Japanese concept of aging is fundamentally different. There's a word, konenki, that describes the transitional years of late middle age and beyond. Unlike the Western term aging with its connotations of decline, konenki suggests transition to a new season of life, different from youth but not inferior to it, with its own gifts and purposes. In this view, after 60 isn't about holding on to what you were or mourning what you've lost. It's about stepping into what you can become, wiser, more present, less driven by ego and achievement, more connected to what truly matters. The walking practice, approached as ikigai rather than age-fighting exercise, supports this reorientation. Every mindful step is an affirmation. I am here. I am alive. I am capable of presence and attention and care. This body, at this age, can move with grace and intention. I am not declining. I am transitioning into a different way of being. Robert, at 69, expresses it this way: I couldn't run a marathon anymore if I wanted to, my knees won't allow it. But I can walk with more awareness and presence than I ever could at 30. I'm not better or worse than I was, I'm different, and in some ways more capable now than I've ever been. This is the psychological and spiritual transformation that the Japanese walking practice can facilitate, from fighting age to inhabiting age, from resisting what is to working skillfully with what is. There's practical wisdom here too. Purpose, ikigai, is one of the strongest predictors of longevity. People with clearly articulated purpose live longer and healthier lives than those without it, even controlling for other health factors. The mechanism seems to be both psychological and physiological. Purpose reduces stress, enhances immune function, provides motivation for self-care, creates social connection, gives reason to persist through difficulties. For many people after 60, especially after retirement or after children have left home or after the loss of a spouse, purpose can become elusive. The structures that gave life meaning, work, active parenting, partnership, may no longer exist or exist in changed form. This can create a kind of existential drift, a sense of now what? Simple daily practices imbued with attention and care can become anchors of purpose. Not the grand world-changing purpose we might imagine we need, but the quiet daily purpose of showing up for your life, for your body, for the present moment. Your 10-minute walk can be this anchor, not because walking is inherently meaningful, but because you bring meaning to it through the quality of attention and care you practice. Each morning, you have somewhere to be, something meaningful to do. Your presence is required. You show up. Over time, this showing up, this consistent practice of presence and care, becomes who you are. Not someone who used to be vital and is now declining, but someone who is practicing being alive right now, in this body, at this age. This is ikigai. This is purpose. Not somewhere in the future, not in some achievement or acquisition, but here, now, in 10 minutes of mindful walking through morning light. So here you are, at the end of this journey through the Japanese walking technique, and perhaps at the beginning of your own practice. Let me make this as simple and accessible as possible. Tomorrow morning, set your alarm for 10 minutes earlier than usual. When you wake, don't check your phone. Don't turn on the news. Don't immediately start the mental list of what you have to do today. Instead, drink a glass of water. Put on comfortable clothes and shoes, step outside if weather permits, or to a hallway or room if it doesn't. Stand for a moment. Feel your feet on the ground. Lengthen your spine. Bamboo, strong and flexible, rooted and reaching. Release your shoulders. Bring your head into alignment over your spine. Breathe. Deep, slow breaths through your nose. In for 4 counts, out for 6. Do this 3 times, establishing your foundation of calm. Now walk, heel to toe, each step deliberate and conscious. Feel every part of your foot meeting the ground. Keep your stride natural and modest. Move smoothly as if carrying precious water balanced on your head. Let your gaze rest softly a few meters ahead. Breathe steadily, naturally. And pay attention. Notice the sensation of movement, the engagement of muscles, the rhythm of breath. When your mind wanders to your to-do list or your worries or your plans, gently bring it back to the simple experience of walking, the feet, the breath, the body moving through space. Do this for exactly 10 minutes, not 15, not 5, 10 minutes of full attention and presence. Then stop. Take 3 more deep breaths. Notice how you feel,
and carry that feeling with you into your day. That's it. That's the practice. Do this tomorrow, then the next day, then the next. Not because you're trying to achieve a health goal, though you will. Not because you're fighting age, though you're supporting your body brilliantly, but because this is what you do. This is your practice. This is how you show up for your life. Some days will be easier than others. Some mornings your body will feel fluid and strong. Other mornings, joints will be stiff, energy low. Walk anyway. Adapt the practice to what your body offers that day, but show up. The consistency matters more than the perfection. Don't judge yourself. Don't compare your walk today to your walk yesterday or to some idealized version of what you think it should be. Just walk with whatever presence and attention you can bring right now. Watch what happens over weeks and months. Notice if balance improves, if joints feel better, if energy stabilizes. Notice if sleep deepens, if stress reduces, if mood lifts. But also notice the subtler shifts, how you feel about your body, about aging, about what it means to care for yourself. You might find, as Robert and Sarah and Thomas and Elena have found, that this simple practice changes everything. Not dramatically, not overnight, but quietly, progressively, like water shaping stone through patient persistence. You might find that 10 minutes of mindful walking becomes the foundation on which the rest of your day is built, that the presence you practice on your walk begins to infuse other moments, how you eat, how you speak to loved ones, how you move through your house, how you meet challenges. You might find in time that this isn't just about adding years to your life, though it does that. It's about adding life to your years. It's about inhabiting your body, your age, your current moment with grace and attention and care. This is what the Japanese have understood for centuries and what modern science is now confirming. The secret to longevity isn't found in aggressive interventions or complex treatments. It's found in simple practices done with consistency and care that honor your body and connect you to life as it actually is, right now. Your walk begins tomorrow. 10 minutes, every day, with attention and presence. Not fighting age, but working skillfully with it. Not forcing change, but allowing transformation. The path is simple. The practice is accessible. The benefits are profound. All that remains is to take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. One mindful step at a time into a longer, healthier, more vital life.